So good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's nice to be back here. It's nice to be here. My name is Frederick. I'm a real estate investor, business owner based in Oakville, Ontario, in Canada. I operate a portfolio, a combined portfolio that is valued in about 7 figures. And I invest in the USA and in Canada, and I run a few businesses that are involved in certain sectors of the economy. And I moved to Canada in 2021 with my family, and I've been here since then. And this my channel is pretty much just to share my experiences, my business and investing journey here in North America, and to also help you um, do the same if you're thinking about it, and to also provide some value to anybody who's aspiring to do the same. Okay, I thank you very much for taking time to watch this video, and for those who don't know me, I welcome you. For those who know me, it's good to see you here. And I just want to share a few thoughts on different things that I believe would help other people who are trying to do the same thing, and at least make it easier for them. Okay? So I always get this question. There's this question I always get. What did I do before moving from Nigeria? That's a very interesting question, because a lot of people find themselves in that situation and they really don't know what to do. So this video is pretty much just to share my own experience in terms of what I did, the specific steps that I did, and then, just try and educate. And if anybody learns a thing or two from it, that's fine by me. I'll be very, very happy for that to happen. So let me jump into the meat of the issue. So when my family and I decided to move from Nigeria to Canada, as you always know, as most people know, the first thing you need to do in terms of when you're trying to do anything basically, is to do your research. If you do research, if you're doing, it goes without saying pretty much, even for little decisions that we take, decisions that are not even as big as relocating from one country to another, we know how to sit down. We know we're supposed to sit down and do some planning and do some research, right? How much more if you're moving from one country to another, especially for those of us who had lived all our lives in Nigeria, in one country, and now you're taking steps to move to another country. It goes without saying that you have to sit down and plan and research, right? So the first thing I did was to research. So I sat down, did some research about Canada as a country. In Nigeria at the time, I was involved in investment banking. I was a corporate trustee, working in a corporate trustee entity. And I said, okay, what do I need to look out for? What do I need to do if I am moving to a new country? To be honest, I really didn't want to go to a new country and then look as if I was starting from the scratch. So I had to first of all research what makes Canada tick. I looked at what I was doing. I looked at what my wife was doing. And we also had to look into the part of Canada that would simply or easily align with what we were already doing. And by the time it wasn't difficult. By the time I made a few research, did some research, asked a few people, it was easy to narrow down to the province of Ontario. Ontario, as you may know, is the most diverse and most populated province in Canada. It's in central Canada, and Toronto, which is pretty much the capital of Ontario, is the biggest city in Canada. It is the financial capital of Canada. Most of the banks, financial institutions have their head offices in Toronto. So it was a no-brainer, to be honest, to narrow down to Ontario, because as an investment banker, I wanted to, make it easier for myself to find myself in a place where it would be easy for me to simply plug in. For my wife, who was involved in a business, we also wanted to go to the most populated and most diverse place for business purpose. So it was really a no-brainer. When we did our research, we found that Toronto, Toronto was pretty much, I mean, the Ontario was pretty much the province. And when we even narrowed down further, we found out that, trying to stay in the GTA is known as the Greater Toronto Area, which is pretty much a combination of all the cities surrounding Toronto. So we did further research and we found the GTA, and went further into this research and found out that, okay, the western side of the GTA was preferable for us because it pretty much had a more diverse population. It's not as if the eastern or the other sides of the GTA didn't have the diverse kind of population we're looking for. But the western side was closer to the US. It was more like central. It had a region called the Halton region, which is made up of 4 different cities, which our research had revealed had one of the best school systems in the GTA. It had a very good community in terms of security. It was good, and so we pretty much narrowed down to the Halton region. And as at today, at the end of the day, to cut a long story short, we settled in a city called Oakville, which is in the western side of the GTA in the Halton region. For the business side of things, like I said, we wanted a place where there were a lot of diversity, people, from different parts of the world were already involved, and were already living there and all that. So it was really not a difficult decision in terms of the decision of where to live. And this was all as a result of planning. So in terms of our children's school, that also was a factor that we had to take into consideration. We wanted a city or a place where the schools had good reviews. The schools were very children friendly, and had all what we were looking for in terms of what the kind of schools we wanted our children to be in. So I would say researching and planning is very, very important. In 2019, when we made this decision, we were still in Nigeria at the time. We even had to embark upon a trip to Ontario to come and see things for ourselves. Now, it's not compulsory that you fly all the way from wherever you are to come to Ontario just to come and do a tour or to see things for yourself before you make a decision. We did that because we felt it was necessary. Now, but it's important to state at this point that you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for people you can ask. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in Nigeria, and I'm sure everybody knows somebody that is in Canada, that is in Ontario, for instance, that is in different parts of Canada. So you really do not need to come here physically to do your tour before you make a decision. But we did that, and it actually helped us, which was all part of the planning process. So planning, research. I cannot overemphasize those points. It is critical. Nobody, and I mean nobody should take any steps in any decision, not just relocating. Nobody should take any steps in executing any decision until you are sure you have done your research and you have planned. I cannot overemphasize that. My wife and I said to ourselves, we do not want to move, and eventually when we get here, we feel we were starting from scratch. We didn't want to do that. And so our planning also involved doing research in terms of knowing what the Canadian economy was all about, what sectors of the economy were booming, because we wanted to start investing in Canada. We made a decision to start investing in Canada before we even left Nigeria. Before we left Nigeria, we started looking for the sector of the economy that was going to be profitable for us, so that we could start investing. We didn't have to move from Nigeria before we started investing. We found the real estate sector was booming. We started to invest before we even left Canada. We did our research and started to invest before we even left Nigeria. We started to invest. Like I said, because we didn't want to feel like we were starting from scratch when we eventually arrived in Canada. And all this started in the year 2019. 2019, when we eventually knew we were moving to Canada, when it was clear to us that we were going to move. All this planning started in 2019. The real estate sector, of course, like I said, was a sector we had decided we wanted to invest in. We did a lot of research into it. And when we found that it was a sector we wanted to invest in, we started to execute the plan. We started to execute the plan, which leads me to the second point. When you have planned, when you have made the research, you have to start executing your plan. Do not be afraid to execute your plan. Start executing your plan, and I can tell you and I can promise you, you will be fine. I promise you, you will be fine. If you do all the research in the world and you never make any move to execute it, it's just like you just find yourself in the same place. You're not making any progress. You're not moving forward. You're not moving backwards. So my advice to everybody is, when you have done all the research, do not allow analysis paralysis to stop you from taking action. Execute the plan. Take action. Start to take action. Little steps here and there towards executing that plan is very critical, which is what we did. Immediately we did all the research and did all our planning, we started to execute them. And little by little, things started falling into place before we eventually moved in 2021 and started to reap the benefits of all those actions we took. I can tell you for free that by the time we moved eventually in 2021, we took our time, because by then we had done some investments. We were already earning some. We were already getting some rental income from the investments we had done. So we weren't really under any pressure to get a job or to start, looking for a job. We weren't under any pressure, because we were already, getting some income before we even moved eventually. Which is what I want. If anybody doesn't take anything away from this, any plan you're doing, especially when it comes to relocating, make sure you have put some things in place such that before you even get to where you're going to, you have already started making some income there. That, I promise you, is going to relieve you of a lot of pressure. You're going to take your time in progressing your plan when you eventually arrive in the country and getting your right to go to. That is what we did. It worked for us, and I know it can work for you. And I know if we did it, anybody can do it. It's a no-brainer. If we could do it, anybody can do it. Okay? So that's pretty much what I have to say for today. I have so many other things to talk about, and I would leave it for now. And in the next video, I'm going to tell you more things, give you more tips in terms of what we did, which I know is going to help you as it helped us. Until then, thank you for listening to me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.